always modify rules. And if you think about it, creative people are able to modify depending on the circumstances, entrepreneurs, inventors, and Ralph was one of these people. Teenagers also do this. I find that my son is very good at trying to modify the rules based on the circumstances, but so are inventive people. And in February of 1878, an invention of the gramophone occurred, and that was also the month and the year that Ralph Smedley was born. And maybe that was a good omen for his birth, a new age for getting one's voice out there. There's not much documented about Ralph growing up, other than he grew up kind of in rural Illinois in a town near Springfield, 20 or so miles away, called Waverly. But you can imagine maybe at his high school graduation, he was sitting there listening to the commencement speech and evaluating in his mind how maybe it could be restructured and improved. After high school graduation, he taught for a while at some rural countryside schools, and he would keep his students after school before they had to go home and milk the cows and engage them in active discussion. And he really found that he enjoyed talking and helping people and helping them improve their communication skills. But he knew he wasn't meant to stay in the countryside for long. He was meant for something bigger. And in 1899, he widened his sphere and he enrolled in Illinois Wesleyan University. He graduated from the university at the age of 25 in 1903, coincidentally the year of the first transatlantic radio transmission. Again, another harbinger to his impact on communication. After graduation, he began working at the Bloomington YMCA. He was excited about his position as the education director, and at his first education activity with the boys at the YMCA, things just ran amok. Everybody was talking at the same time. The kids were criticizing each other. He felt like they needed some help on their communication skills. So he talked to the boys and said, what about a speech club? And they were really excited about the idea. But they couldn't figure out a name, so they bounced it off of the general secretary of the YMCA, and he suggested Toastmasters. And they loved it, and they started their Toastmaster Club. And the membership grew and grew. But Ralph was not somebody who was going to stay in one place long. He was ambitious, and he got a promotion to another YMCA in Illinois. And he kept in contact, wrote letters, and not long after he left, the club declined, didn't go anywhere, and that program was stopped at the original YMCA. So here's another quote from Ralph Smedley. When you talk, you give yourself away. You reveal your true character in a picture, which is more true and realistic than anything an artist can do for you. So at the next YMCA that Ralph was at, he worried about, again, he almost put the idea of Toastmasters to bed, the public speaking club to bed, but he worried about what the boys at YMCA were revealing about their character and the way they interacted with each other. So he started another club at that second Illinois YMCA, and the membership grew to about 75 people, and it became pretty popular. And then, of course, again, Ralph was promoted to another position, and he moved from Illinois to San Jose, California, and he kept in touch with the second Toastmaster Club that he started. And again, it perished after a little while of him moving on. Here's another quote for him. The Toastmaster Club, which has the right sort of program, does not lose its members. So Ralph had yet to find his successful formula for building a Toastmaster Club when he was promoted again and moved to Santa Ana, California. Now, some concepts are just in need of missionaries, and in Santa Ana, he found his. He soon found that men from adjacent cities started attending his Santa Ana meetings and taking notes and approaching him later asking how they could start their own satellite clubs. And so he encouraged and helped that. The first meeting in Santa Ana was on October 22nd, 1924, and it's, even though Ralph had started Toastmaster clubs in several other areas, it's considered to be the first official Toastmaster meeting and club. And it still exists today and is called Club Number 1 in the Toastmaster International records. At that time, it was still an arm of the YMCA program. Then another club opened in Anaheim, and that one still exists today and is known as Toastmaster Club Number 2. And at that point, it started to really catch on and spread through Southern California cities. And the representatives of these different Southern California cities organized and created their own association separate from the YMCA. So at that time, Toastmasters became a standalone organization. And Ralph wondered, well, what was the difference? Why did this catch on here in Southern California and not back in his chilly home state of Illinois? And he thought, oh, that's it. It's the sunshine and the optimism that it brings. So that was his speculation, but it did take off. And here's another quote. People are more willing to follow a leader who knows where he's going. Well, to get where you want to go, sometimes you need a map, right? And at this stage of Toastmasters, it occurred to Ralph Smedley that what was needed to help it grow was some manuals of instruction. And he created 10 lessons in public speaking, which he mimeographed and bound in paper covers. And in October of 1928, he copyrighted the name, copyrighted the instruction manuals, and the club became Toastmasters International because at that time there was one club that spread to British Columbia, Canada. There were about 30 clubs overall when the association was formed in 1932. In 1930 and in 1932, Toastmaster International was incorporated as a California nonprofit corporation. So by that time, Toastmasters had grown so large that Ralph was able to resign from the YMCA in 1941. And through the war years, he operated the organization out of a small office in Southern California, and he worked in some capacity for the rest of his life in Toastmasters. So what it started out as a little group at the YMCA that failed to take on a life of its own had become a big, huge thing by the 1940s. And here's another quote for him. While most of us may have entered Toastmasters to learn to make speeches, the benefit is but beginning of the good which may come to us and the good which we may do for mankind. So Ralph was just a humble Midwestern boy. He didn't go into Toastmasters to win accolades. He just wanted to help people and improve the young men chances in life that he'd encountered in the YMCA. But he did end up winning many accolades. He got an honorary PhD from his alma mater, the Illinois Wesleyan University. Several schools, including the Santa Ana Junior High School, were named after him. And in 1956, Toastmasters gave Smedley the title of honorary president and lifetime board member. Have any of you ever heard of the empty chair in any Toastmasters clubs? The Santa Ana Club started that. They leave an empty chair with his photograph on it every meeting in honor of him. And some of the other clubs worldwide have adopted this. And the Santa Ana Club actually changed its name to the Smedley No. 1 Club as a nod to him. So final quote, all speech is for communication, and there's no possibility of communication unless people understand. Your club can help you to find out whether you're making yourself understood. So back in the countryside, Ralph already knew that he was destined for something bigger, and he had a dream. It took him from the first time he held a Toastmaster meeting in around 1903, 1904 to 1924 to really see it catch fire. But big or small, it didn't matter. It was just that he was doing something meaningful. And because he was doing something meaningful, other people, it resonated with other people and caught on with other people. In the summer of 1964, his health declined and he passed away in September of 1965, leaving behind a wife and a daughter, and then this huge legacy that Toastmasters became. Kind of needed the perspective of time to see it, but today there's over 365,000 members worldwide, and Toastmasters brings in around 36 million in revenue as a nonprofit organization. In the 1970s, Toastmasters changed its bylaws to accept women members and became a progressive organization by having, very soon after that, a female president. So to close with a Ralph Smedley quote on education and development value of Toastmasters, he says that Toastmasters can really be, if you stick with it, the equivalent of a postgraduate education. He says, to the other values of Toastmasters training, let us add this one with emphasis, that it is the busy man's best chance to take a postgraduate course in general information without inconvenience of loss of time and money. Thank you.